emergency that has caused nothing but divisiveness and discord among Filipinos. But first, let me thank all of you for joining us today as we provide updates on the significant progress achieved by the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. I am pleased to share with you the outcomes of the second Ntf-Elcac Executive Committee meeting, where we discussed the remarkable advancements in our major programs aimed at fostering lasting peace and development across the nation. Initially, I would like to emphasize the realization and success of President Marcos' call to action in putting an end to senseless violence and driving progress through a whole-of-nation effort. We commend the enthusiastic engagement of government agencies, local government units, civil society organizations, private entities within the Ntf-Elcac, and the unwavering support of every citizen who rallied behind our campaign to end this armed conflict. Our commitment to cohesive and centralized efforts is underscored by the establishment of project management offices in various government agencies, a response that echoes the President's directive that our endeavors must be systematic and unified. This approach has borne fruit in regions like Davao, which has recently been declared insurgency-free. The safety and prosperity experienced there serve as a testament to the potential for other previously conflict-affected areas to follow suit, becoming insurgency-free zones themselves. It is vital to recognize that ending armed conflict not only fosters internal peace, but also bolsters our efforts to fortify our national borders, safeguarding the integrity of our cherished and national territory. The success of programs such as the Support to Barangay Development Program and Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program, or ECLIP, cannot be understated. These initiatives have played a pivotal role in putting an end to armed conflict. I urge the continued support from agencies and our esteemed Congress to ensure the sustained implementation of these programs, further contributing to the journey towards peace and prosperity. In line with our pursuit of sustainable peace and development, the Amnesty Proclamation holds considerable significance. Its consideration and the support of Congress are crucial in solidifying a future characterized by enduring harmony and progress. The Ntf-Elcac remains steadfast in its mission to secure a brighter and conflict-free future for our nation. With an active participation of government entities, civil society, private organizations, and every citizen, we are well on our way to achieving the ambitious goals set forth by the President. And together we will usher in an era of prosperity, unity, and shared success. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Anyo. Now we open the floor to questions from the media. Did you want to speak? Yeah. Okay, sorry, go ahead, sir.
Okay, once again, good afternoon to everybody. First, I would like to say, to report to everyone, that we have been winning in our counterinsurgency campaign for the past 4 years. We have degraded the capability of the CPP, NPA, NDF in almost all fronts. And it is very necessary, as the informational, operational environment change, that we need to recalibrate the way we do things. And the holding of the second Executive Committee meeting for this year, because we had the first one last May 10, barely 4 months ago. But yes, because of the dynamic way that the information and operational environment is moving, we really have to meet more often. And this afternoon, as I would be reporting to you later on, There are a lot of initiatives that were agreed upon by the Executive Committee, and we're really very thankful and glad that no less than the chairman of the Ntf-Elcac, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, was there to include the co-vice chairs, and I'm referring to the Honorable Vice President Sara Duterte and Honorable Secretary Anyo, and most of the primaries of the different department members of the Ntf-Elcac were there to agree on certain programs and decisions that would further strengthen the National Task Force to end local communist armed conflict. We are almost there, and that the things that we have agreed upon this afternoon would certainly bolster some more the efforts that we are undertaking to really bring this strategic victory into its final victory. Thank you.
Well, pleasant good afternoon. I am Secretary Suharto Magdadato, newly appointed as a court officer for the NCR region. And this is my first time to address in the highly urbanized area. But rest assured that the program of our President Bobo Marcos, will be properly implemented in NCR region.
Okay, now we can have some questions from Tuesday New.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Sir, yung binabanggit nyo po kanina na significant updates sa mga programa ng task force, pwede nyo pa kaming bigyan kung ano yung mga napag-usapan o napagkasunduan nyo kanina sa meeting?
Thank you. I will ask Executive Director Ernesto Torres Jr. to give the details. He is the Executive Director and at the same time the head of the National Task Force Secretariat.
Thank you very much. Tuesday, we have 5 agenda items that were tackled this afternoon, presided by the first Executive Secretary during the first part, and then during the second part by the President himself. The first agenda item was the oath-taking of the courts, the newly designated Cabinet Officer for Regional Development and Security. This is a position that would harmonize the functions and contributions of the Regional Development Council and the Regional Peace and Order Council. So, related to that first agenda, of course, is the decision to recommend a replacement for Secretary Toots Ople, who unfortunately passed away just recently as the courts of Joint Regional Task Force NCR. So we have now, and the Executive Committee agreed and approved the designation of no less than the Secretary of TESDA, Secretary Suharto Magdadato. That's the first agenda. The second agenda is the inclusion of 11 other agencies in the Executive Committee. And I'm referring to the following: the DICT, or Department of Information and Communications Technology, that's one. Second is the DOLE. Then the Department of Transportation, Department of Tourism, Department of Energy, the Secretary of the DTI, Secretary of the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development, 8, the Department of Foreign Affairs, 9, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, 10, Department of Health, and 11, the Department of Migrant Workers. So as per EO 70, just for the our friends in the media would have a better perspective, originally it has 21 member agencies. So with the inclusion of the 11 other secretaries, of the different members that I have mentioned, so it would bring it to 32 regular members from the different departments. But another agenda was tackled because in the organization of the Ntf-Elcac, there are 2 private representatives that are allowed or authorized to be a member in the organization. So these positions were never filled up since the establishment of Ntf-Elcac. So just like I mentioned a while ago, we need to review how we do things, and we find it necessary that at this point in our campaign, it is necessary that we have 2 private representatives as member agencies. So the Execom agreed to have 1 from the religious sector, and we have now the CBCP, represented by the Episcopal Commission on Public Affairs, particularly by Bishop Reynaldo Evangelista, and his alternate is Father Jerome Siciliano, who was physically present during the meeting. So also, aside from CBCP membership, we are working on a business sector representative to fill up the other slot for private representative in the NTF organization. So another agenda is inclusion of some departments, bureaus, and agencies in the different clusters of Ntf-Elcac. So we all know that we have 12 different clusters, so certain departments, bureaus, and agencies were added to that. So meaning, nag-expand yung membership ng ELCAC by clusters and sa national membership. And the last agenda that the Executive Committee tackled is the evolution of the halfway houses for the FRs into Unity Peace and Development Centers, or simply Peace Centers. So if you recall, yung halfway houses natin are facilities where our surrenderers are de-radicalized, they are trained for them to be prepared for reintegration back to mainstream society. So also we expanded with our recommendation for it to evolve into peace centers. It would expand its functions with the impending proclamation of amnesty. It may serve also as a processing center for those who would wish to go back to the folds of the law and subsequently avail of the amnesty program that would be offered to them. So it will also be a facility for addressing the different concerns of the FRs, to include the processing of the ECLIP, or Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program, and implementation also of the Task Force Balik Loob program, strengthening of their FR organization and associations, strengthening of people's organization, and all the other concerns that would sustain our programs in really taking care of our FRs so that they could really be mainstream and given the opportunity to be reintegrated back to our society. So those were the 5 items that were tackled this afternoon. In addition to that, we gave the courts an orientation briefing, gave them an update on where we are now in our campaign in counterinsurgency, so that when the courts, as representative of our president in all the 17 regions in our country, we would be singing one tune. We would be marching with the same cadence towards accomplishing our mission of really ending local communist armed conflict. So that, in a nutshell, is what transpired during the Executive Committee meeting this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello. Sir, you stated earlier that the campaign against insurgency was successful. May we ask why is there a need to add so many other agencies to the EXECOM? Will the expansion not add more red tape and bureaucracy?
Ang insurgency, ang counterinsurgency natin kasi is what we want is sustainable because we are now leading to development, no? Putting projects and delivery of services to the different barangays, particularly those that have been cleared by the armed forces and the Philippine National Police. No? Kahit na wala na ang mga armed group dyan, gusto natin tuloy-tuloy because we want to spur economic development in those areas and provide livelihood programs to the citizen of these barangays who have been neglected for many, many years. And the designation of cords to these regions will ensure convergence of effort and ensuring that resources will go to these barangays. And what we wanted is to build resilient communities all around the country. Wala nang hindi na magkakaroon ng issue para magkaroon pa ng recruitment or recovery program ang CPP and PA. No? So we need to say, we are not just uplifting the lives of these people in the countryside, but rather building a permanent peace and sustainable development in these areas.
Alexis Romero, Philippine Star.
To our officials, we've been talking about insurgency since post-EDSA time. Realistically, what can be achieved when it comes to efforts against insurgency after the term of President Marcos?
We have been fighting this communist insurgency for almost 5 decades, or actually more or less 53. Yes, more or less, no? And I and Executive Director Gerald Torres, we came from the military service at nakita namin, no? Tiniente pa kami. We've been fighting the insurgents, no? But it's like paulit-ulit lang, no? Because there are missing components. And these missing components, we finally find out that the convergence of all government agencies, stakeholders, local government units, really to bring development and to solve the root causes of insurgency in these far-flung areas. It's not just a military or police problem, but it is a whole of nation and whole of government approach. At nakita natin na when we introduce the support to the barangay development program, as well as the enhanced comprehensive local integration program, mas maraming nag-surrender, mas lalo na yung mga armed group. And the people themselves, no, they condemn and then they repudiated the attempt of the NPA to recover the areas. So what we can see in the term of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., finally matatapos natin itong local armed communist conflict. And from there, puro developments ang ating itataguyod at isisiguraduhin natin yung delivery ng services. At hindi lang yun, we can now even reorient the focus of the armed forces towards external defense. Because right now, we have so many geopolitical issues and challenges to face. So we need the armed forces to now focus their eyes on external threats.
Secretary, when you say matutuldukan, kasi we covered defense naman, when you say insurgency-free, minsan nagbabago yung meaning. Hindi naman daw yun zero talaga. Minsan, sinasabi nila, insurgency-free means insurgents are too weak in that area to influence people. Di ba? Nangyayari yun, di ba, Secretary? So when you say tutuldukan, bago ba tapos yung term ng Pangulong Marcos, anong ibig sabihin nito? Is it zero communist rebels? Ano po yung description ng ganung estado?
While we may not be able to attain this zero insurgent, but at least they will be reduced to an irrelevant number that will not already cause concern for peace and order. They will be isolated and just become bandits because of lost ideology and non-support from the people. And at the same time, we also would want to give still chance to these people to these rebels to return to the fold of the law. Just like, may mga grupo before, no, na mga, like yung old PKP, no, yung old Partido Komunista ng Pilipinas, yung RPA-ABB, yung ating mga kapatid sa Cordillera, na-solve natin lahat yan because naging comprehensive yung ating approach. And at the same time, we have also cost reduction of the armed threat. No? So, more or less yun ang sinusundan natin. And finally also, of course, these people, when given the chance, they will embrace and avail of the benefits and the privileges of living back to the mainstream of the society.
So we can categorically say that the shift of focus from internal security to external defense will happen within this administration?
Yes, that is our objective, and we are confident that we are going to attain that objective.
Thank you po.
Ivan Mayrina, GMA.
Good afternoon. Yusek Torres, you said that we are winning in this campaign against insurgency. Where are we? At what point are we in terms of achieving this victory, as Secretary Anyo has described it?
Well, I can describe our status or situation by providing you some statistics. At the start of our campaign with EO70 in December 4 of 2018, so at the start of 2019, we were confronting 89 guerrilla fronts all over the country. And when we say guerrilla fronts, it is composed of so many barangays, 50 to 100 barangays that you need to clear. And just to have a perspective, prior to EO70, on the average, 2, 1, and sometimes in a year, wala pang guerrilla fronts na dismantle. No? But for the past 4 years, we were able to dismantle through our whole of government approach, whole of nation participation. We were able to dismantle a total of 69 guerrilla fronts. So ibig sabihin, 20 na lang ang naiiwan, with 1 active and the 19 are considered weakened guerrilla front. So the 1 active is in Northern Samar. Those weakened are 6 in Luzon, 7 in the Visayas, and another 6 in Mindanao. So when we say weakened guerrilla front, they lost their mass base already. So meaning, if they lost their mass base, and most of their leaders, to include Joma Sison, who passed away for natural reasons, the Chamson couple, and if I may mention some of them, the National Operations Command head, Minardo Villanueva, Kaoris, and Chamson couple. And several years ago, Hiron, the CPP chairman locally, and a host of other leaders, they are now experiencing a leadership vacuum. So this is the time that we offer to them and explain to them that we have good programs of the government that will really take care of them. That's why that is our trust also in our strategic communication. We are trying to bring to them, explain to them that we have good programs of the government. It's just a matter of them making that crucial decision to come back to the folds of the law. So we are observing that, Ivan, wherever we go now, that the people themselves are organizing their own integrated territorial defense system as part of clearing the barangays. They are establishing their own barangay intelligence network, empowering their barangay-based institutions so that the local chief executives down to barangays would be able to facilitate the delivery of basic services, because that we think is the key, no? Which we failed to do before we have this mechanism that we have now. Ntf-Elcac is not just addressing the armed component. It is a facility, an organization that harmonizes and synchronizes. It is to converge the different efforts of the government and the stakeholders to contribute in our counterinsurgency effort. We are at that stage, Ivan, in our counterinsurgency operation, and we are very much confident, just like what NSA has mentioned, that sooner rather than later we would be able to defeat and bring to inconsequential level yung capability ng mga insurgents natin sa ating bansa. Thank you.
May I give a concrete example? No? Let us take into consideration the Davao region. Ang pinakamabigat na region before is the Southern Mindanao Regional Committee. I had the experience of being the division commander in 2014 in Davao region. When I assumed as division commander, there were 5 Pulang Bagani commands, about 8 sub-regional guerrilla units, and about 40 guerrilla fronts. But right now, Davao has just been declared as insurgency-free. And it is really the mechanism of the Ntf-Elcac and the participation of the local government units and the people themselves na fast-track talaga yung defeat ng CPP-NPA in Davao region. Now, in Davao region, you can walk and go around at night time, and there's no fear of being intimidated or being attacked by the CPP-NPA. And almost in other areas. Kaya sabi nga ni Executive Director Jun Torres, from 89 guerrilla fronts, we have dismantled 69, 20 are just remaining, 19 are weakened, and 1 is active in northern Samar. And the armed forces focus now is totally clearing all these remaining 20 guerrilla fronts.
Joyce Balancho, ABS-CBN.
Sir, with the addition of new members to the Execom, nabanggit niyo po, DOT, DFA, DMW, etc. Ano po yung mga in-expect nating new programs or services na pwede pong maramdaman ng mga cleared barangays?
May I ask our new courts in the NCR?
Yeah, thank you, Secretary, sir. Yes, ma'am. I am newly appointed for the courts area for the NCR, and I am the Director General for TESNA. So, the reason ako po ay na-assign dito sa NCR, one is to harmonize the different mayors, the city mayors. And TESNA po is, this is a out-of-school youth, and it's a textbook. So all vocational educations ay nasa amin yung mga trainings. So kung titignan po ninyo, ang test is cater po namin, yung para sa mga mamahirap na mga Pilipino. Kung sila po natin mabibigyan ng trabaho at maturuan natin ng proper training according to the industrial driven, ay mainganyo po natin. Dahil ang Metro Manila po, ay ito po yung pinaka-center na kung nasaan ang galing yung mga possible na mga nag-advocate, nag-propagate doon sa mga probinsya natin. So ngayon, ang isang solusyon ay kami ngayon ay papasok po kami sa lahat po ng ating mga barangay upang dito pa lang sa mga schools natin ay maramdaman po nila na ang programa po ng ating mga presidente ay nadadama at ito ay makikita at mararamdaman pa nila.
Sir, baka may madagdag po kayo for the other departments na members na po ng Execom. Anong mga services ba ang i-offer po nila or idadagdag?
Well, aside from infrastructure projects and basic services delivery, and other projects for, like for example, electricity, potable water, sanitation, school buildings, health centers. The Secretary of Department of Tourism, Secretary Cristina Franco, also manifested how to transform these previously critical areas into tourism spots. Meaning to say, with the improved peace and order condition and situation, we can bring tourists into these areas and also spur job and employment to the locals, including also on how we can top the potential in the IP or ancestral domain areas where we can bring development and even making them as tourist spots. So, yan yung ibig sabihin from the previous traditional na peace and order effort. Now we are going on to all other potentials where we can bring development and employment to the people in these areas.
Tuesday New again.
Yes, sir. Nabanggit nyo kanina na kasama na rin as member ang CBCP, represented by Bishop Reynaldo Evangelista. Ano po ang naging pagtanggap nila na maisama nyo sila as member, and ano po ang pangunahing role na gagampanan nila sa Execom?
Well, we are really very glad that when we first approached the CBCP leadership, we were accepted warmly, no? Hindi po tayo nagkaroon ng problema with them. In fact, they readily accepted to cooperate with us because we were able to explain to them about the program of the government and our role, no, in harmonizing the different efforts of the government and the other partner stakeholders in uplifting the condition of those living in the conflict-affected and vulnerable areas. So what can they contribute? So we are a very religious country. So if I'm not mistaken, more than 80% of our population is Catholic or Christian. So their organization can be felt down to the barangays and even sitios. So they're organized as such. So with them on our side, it would be a lot easier for us to disseminate, to cascade the information, the good news of the government, no, to those living in far-flung areas. In considering the trust, confidence, and respect that the general populace have for those in the religious sector, it would be readily be accepted by them. So the truth can easily be disseminated with the help of our partners from the CBCP. And we will not stop there Tuesday, because down the road there will be some observers also as part of the religious sector representative, no? Not only the regular member, but observers coming from the other religious denominations. But that is not yet happening now, but that is within the roadmap that we are crafting. So thank you, Tuesday.
Thank you for the questions, Malacanang Press Corps. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Presidential Communications Secretary Garafil. And any parting words, Secretary Anyo, before we go?
With the indulgence of my colleagues, this is a bit off topic, Secretary Anyo, sir. Did you have, but I need to ask anyway, did you get the chance to talk to the President about the 10-dash line map of China? And what are your thoughts on it as NSA? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Siguro ito lang yung question of tangent. First of all, we do not recognize the 10-dash line. We do not even recognize the 9-dash line, much more the 10-dash line. The arbitral award is final and binding, and it gives us our maritime entitlement, our extended economic zone, our territorial waters, and even our extended continental shelf. And there are already a lot of countries that adversely reacted to this 10-dash line, India and Malaysia, and there will be more countries, I think, to react adversely against this 10-dash line. And we will continue to protect our territorial integrity and our national sovereignty. Our armed forces, our uniformed services, our government will do everything in its capacity to ensure that we are protecting our national interest. So again, we do not recognize the 10-dash line issued by the Chinese government.